Welcome to Mrs. Moskowitz's Art Room. I'd like to share a book with you today about Vincent van Gogh called The Starry Night by Neil Waldman. Across the shaded hills and winding pathways of Central Park, daffodil stars exploded in yellow splendor. A group of boys raced alongside the still reflecting pool where children played with sailboats under the watchful eyes of their mothers. The boys darted around a sharp curve and ran past a frail-looking man who stood before an old wooden easel. The last of the boys came to a stop as the others charged off onto a grassy field. "Come on, Bernard!" one of them called back, but Bernard didn't move. He just stood there, staring at the brightly colored canvas. The man glanced at Bernard and then returned to his painting. Bernard sat down in the grass. After a while, the man turned and nodded. "It's finished," he said in funny-sounding English. "Oh, the Big Apple never looked better," Bernard beamed. The man packing up his paintings and easel, and Bernard said, "Well, where are you going?" "To find another place that asks to be painted." "But what's your name?" "Vincent," the man smiled. "Do you paint all the time?" "Oh, yes," said Vincent. "That's why I am here." "Well, where do you come from?" Bernard asked. "Oh, far away. I just arrived today." "Well, I've lived here all my life," Bernard said. "I could show you some amazing places." "I'd like that very much," said Vincent. Bernard took Vincent north to Harlem, south to the Statue of Liberty, and east to the Brooklyn Bridge. They spent their days in Greenwich Village and in Chinatown, in Times Square, and on Fifth Avenue. Wherever they went, Bernard watched as Vincent painted New York in bright and beautiful colors. Then one day Vincent said, "It is time for me to go. But before I leave, there is one place I want to show you." Vincent took Bernard to a big building on 53rd Street. Inside, the walls were covered with beautiful paintings. They went up an escalator to the second floor. Vincent led Bernard to a blue and yellow painting of a country village at night. Bernard stood silently for a long time. He could hardly breathe. Then he felt a shiver pass through him. "Vincent, it looks exactly like one of yours. You painted this picture, didn't you?" But there was no answer. "Vincent!" Bernard spun around, but Vincent wasn't there. "Vincent!" he called. "Where are you?" Vincent raced through every room of the museum, but his friend was nowhere to be found. He walked sadly back to the blue and yellow painting. Bernard looked at the swirling stars, the orange moon, and the sleeping village. He thought about the many days when he had watched in wonder as Vincent painted the streets of Harlem, Midtown, the village, and the great lady with the torch from across the bay in Battery Park. "Oh, the Big Apple never looked so great," Bernard whispered. His eyes widened. He turned and left the museum. Bernard came back a few minutes later carrying a brown paper bag. He sat down across from Vincent's painting, opened his bag, took out a sketch pad and a box of colored pencils, and Bernard began to draw. The next video I will make is about a project that we can do of Vincent's Starry Night. To do this project, you will need white construction paper, crayons, especially a black one, pencil, paper towels, blue tempera paints, a sponge brush, and water. I hope to see you then. Bye.